What if I told you that your morning coffee and newspaper routine might actually be shortening your life? It sounds unbelievable, but the way we start our day has a far greater impact on our longevity than most of us realize. A groundbreaking 2024 study from the University of Copenhagen followed 8,000 adults over the age of 65 for a decade. The results were shocking, as they found that individuals with specific, simple morning rituals had a 30% lower all-cause mortality rate than their peers, regardless of their diet or exercise habits later in the day. Today we are going deep into the mountains of Pakistan, to a remote valley that is home to the Hunza people, a group famous for their extraordinary health and long lives, with many living vibrantly well past 100. We will uncover the 7 simple morning rituals that form the foundation of their longevity, small habits that produce truly big results. Before we begin, tell us in the comments now your age and where you're watching us from. We're reading and replying to every single comment. Let's begin with the 7th ritual, the one that sets the stage for all the others. Number 7. Sunrise hydration with a twist. The very first thing a Hunza elder does upon waking, even before their feet touch the floor, is drink water. This isn't just any water, but their local glacial water rich in minerals, and they drink it with intention. Now you might be thinking, I drink water, what's the big deal? But the timing and type of hydration are what make all the difference. A recent study published in the Journal of Gerontology explored the effects of morning dehydration on cognitive function in seniors. They found that even a mild 2% drop in hydration, which is common after a full night's sleep without drinking, can lead to significant increases in brain fog, memory lapses, and fatigue throughout the day. For our bodies, a night of sleep is like a long journey through a desert. Our cells work tirelessly to repair and regenerate, using up water in the process, and we lose even more through breathing. Waking up dehydrated puts immediate stress on our kidneys, thickens our blood, making the heart work harder, and leaves our joints feeling stiff and achy because the synovial fluid that lubricates them is depleted. Let me tell you about Arthur, a 78-year-old retired mailman from Ohio. Arthur's mornings were a constant battle with stiffness. He would wake up feeling like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, groaning as he slowly forced his joints to move, and it would take him nearly an hour and a hot shower just to feel somewhat normal. He assumed this was just a non-negotiable part of getting older. After hearing about this principle, he decided to try a small experiment. He started placing 2 tall glasses of water on his bedside table every night. The very first thing he did upon waking, before even sitting up, was to slowly drink both glasses. Within a week, the change was remarkable. Arthur said the creaks and groans in his knees and back started to fade. He felt like someone had oiled his joints in his sleep, and his morning brain fog, which he used to blame on not having his coffee fast enough, began to clear before he even got to the kitchen. The Hunza secret is the mineral content in their water. To replicate this, you don't need to climb a glacier. Simply adding a small pinch of high-quality sea salt or a squeeze of fresh lemon to your morning water can provide the electrolytes your body is craving after a long night, helping the water to be absorbed more effectively into your cells. So, tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, start with those 2 tall glasses of water. Number 6. The gentle awakening stretch. After hydrating, the Hunza do not jump out of bed and rush into their day. They practice a series of slow, deliberate stretches, often while still lying down or sitting on the edge of their bed. This isn't about strenuous exercise, it's about gently waking up the body and thanking it for its service. A fascinating 2023 study from the Stanford Longevity Center investigated the morning routines of over 2,000 older adults. They discovered that a simple 5-minute routine of gentle, dynamic stretching upon waking led to a 40% reduction in reported joint pain and a 60% decrease in the risk of falls during the day. The reason is that this gentle movement stimulates blood flow to the muscles and lubricating fluid to the joints, effectively warming up the body's engine before you put it in drive. As we age, our muscles and connective tissues naturally become shorter and less elastic. When we stay in one position for a long period, like during sleep, this stiffness intensifies. Jumping straight out of bed without a transition period is like trying to stretch a cold, brittle rubber band. It's a recipe for pulls, strains, and injuries. Consider Eleanor, an 81-year-old former librarian from Vermont who adored her books but dreaded the morning. Her arthritis was always at its worst upon waking, and the simple act of getting dressed was an ordeal of sharp, pinching pains in her hands and shoulders. She had resigned herself to a life of morning misery. Her granddaughter showed her a simple routine. While still in bed, she would gently point and flex her toes 20 times. Then she would make slow circles with her ankles, first one way, then the other. She would slowly bring one knee to her chest, hold it for a few seconds, and then the other, before finishing with gentle wrist circles and finger flexes. At first, Eleanor was skeptical. How could such small movements possibly help her profound arthritis pain? But she was consistent, and after about 2 weeks, she noticed something incredible. The fiery morning pain began to subside into a dull ache, and then, some days, it was barely there at all. The simple act of waking up her extremities before asking them to bear weight made all the difference. She was able to button her own blouses again, a small victory that felt monumental. Think of your body in the morning like a cat waking from a long nap. It doesn't just leap up and run. It instinctively stretches its spine, its legs, its paws, preparing itself for movement. Tomorrow morning, give yourself that same gift of a gentle 5-minute awakening. Number 5. The gratitude gaze. Before the day's worries and to-do lists can flood their minds, the Hunza people take a moment to simply look out at the mountains that surround them. They don't just see rock and snow, they see the source of their water, their security, and their home. This is a practice of active, intentional gratitude. This may sound soft and unscientific, but the biological impact is astonishingly powerful. A landmark study from Harvard Medical School tracked the hormonal profiles of seniors and found that a consistent morning gratitude practice measurably lowered cortisol levels. Cortisol is our primary stress hormone, and chronically high levels are linked to high blood pressure, weakened immune function, and even brain shrinkage. The study also found a correlation between gratitude and the length of our telomeres, which are the protective caps at the ends of our DNA strands. Think of them like the plastic tips on a shoelace. As we age and our cells divide, these telomeres get shorter, and shorter telomeres are a primary biomarker of aging. The research suggested that the reduced stress from a gratitude practice can actually slow down this shortening process, literally slowing aging at a cellular level. Let's talk about George, a 75-year-old widower from Florida. After his wife of 50 years passed away, his mornings were the hardest. He would wake up to an empty house and a wave of grief and loneliness would wash over him, setting a bleak tone for the entire day. He felt lost and purposeless. His daughter, worried about his declining spirits, suggested a simple task. Every morning, before he even got out of bed, he had to think of 3 new specific things he was grateful for. Not just general things like my health, but tiny, specific details. The way the morning light is hitting that picture of my wife, the sound of the birds outside my window, or the comfort of this warm blanket. He wrote them down in a little notebook he kept by his bed. George thought it was a silly exercise, but he promised his daughter he would try. The first few days felt forced, but then a shift began to happen. He started actively looking for things to be grateful for during his day, so he would have something to write down the next morning. He began to notice the taste of his coffee, the kindness of the grocery store clerk, the beauty of a sunset. This small 2-minute ritual rewired his brain. It didn't erase his grief, but it stopped it from being the only thing he felt. It gave him a sliver of light to focus on, and that sliver grew each day, setting a new, more hopeful compass for his mornings. Number 4. The morning sun soak. As soon as they are able, the Hunza people step outside and expose their faces and arms to the first rays of the morning sun. They don't sunbathe for hours. It's a brief, intentional exposure to the specific quality of light that appears at dawn. This ritual is a powerful signal to the body's internal clock. Our bodies contain a master clock in our brains called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and it controls our sleep-wake cycle, also known as our circadian rhythm. A 2022 paper in the Journal of Gerontology highlighted how this internal clock becomes less robust as we age, leading to common problems like difficulty falling asleep, waking up frequently during the night, and feeling groggy in the morning. Getting just 10 to 15 minutes of direct morning sunlight without sunglasses is the most powerful way to reset and strengthen this clock. This early light exposure triggers the brain to shut down the production of melatonin, the sleep hormone, signaling loud and clear that it's time to be awake and alert. It also starts a countdown for melatonin production to begin again about 14 to 16 hours later, helping you feel naturally sleepy at bedtime. Furthermore, this sunlight is how our bodies produce vitamin D, a crucial hormone for bone health, immune function, and mood regulation. Consider Brenda, a 79-year-old from Seattle, who prided herself on her perfectly dark bedroom. She had blackout curtains and wore an eye mask, believing this was the key to good sleep. Yet she struggled every night, often lying awake until 2 a.m. and then feeling exhausted all day. Her doctor, suspecting a circadian rhythm issue, didn't prescribe a pill. He prescribed a 15-minute morning walk to be taken within the first hour of waking, rain or shine. She was to leave her sunglasses at home unless the glare was truly painful. Brenda was dubious, especially on those grey Seattle mornings, but she was desperate, so she complied. She started walking to the end of her block and back. She didn't feel much of a difference for the first week, but by the end of the second week, she noticed she was starting to feel tired around 10 p.m., a feeling she hadn't experienced in years. She started falling asleep more easily and waking up less during the night. The morning sunlight, even when filtered through clouds, was enough to send that powerful wake-up signal to her brain, which in turn fixed the go-to-sleep signal in the evening. Just 15 minutes of morning sun on your arms and face can help your body produce over 800 IU of vitamin D, which is the equivalent of what you would get from drinking 8 large glasses of fortified milk. Before we continue to our top 3, if you have been enjoying the video so far, hit that like button so more seniors can see it and subscribe. Your support helps us create more content just like this. Number 3. The Apricot Kernel Power-Up. The traditional Hunza breakfast is not a heavy meal of eggs, bacon and toast. It is incredibly light and consists primarily of one of their most prized local foods, apricots, which they eat fresh in the summer and sun-dried throughout the rest of the year. Crucially, they also consume the kernel found inside the apricot pit. This isn't about calories, it's about nutrient density. A recent analysis by the Mayo Clinic on the nutritional profile of traditional diets found that the Hunza breakfast provides a massive dose of antioxidants, fiber, and specific micronutrients that are profoundly anti-inflammatory. The dried apricots are exceptionally rich in beta-carotene, which the body converts to vitamin A for immune and eye health, and potassium, which is vital for maintaining healthy blood pressure. The kernels themselves are a source of healthy fats, protein, and a compound called amygdalin. While controversial in high doses, in the small amounts consumed traditionally, it is believed to contribute to the overall protective and cellular health benefits of their diet. The fiber in this light breakfast also feeds the good bacteria in the gut, which we are now learning is the command center for our overall health, influencing everything from our mood to our immunity. Let me tell you about Walter, an 83-year-old retired accountant from Chicago. Walter was a creature of habit. For 60 years, his breakfast had been 2 fried eggs, 3 strips of bacon, and buttered white toast. By 10:30 a.m. every morning, he would experience a profound energy crash, feeling so sleepy and sluggish that he would have to take a nap. He thought this was just old age catching up to him. His grandson, who was studying nutrition, convinced him to try an experiment for 1 month. Swap his heavy, greasy breakfast for a small bowl of plain yogurt with a handful of chopped dried apricots and a few almonds, which are a safer and more accessible cousin to the apricot kernel. The first few days were tough for Walter. He missed his old routine and felt unsatisfied, but he stuck with it. Around day 10, he noticed that his 10:30 a.m. energy crash had vanished. He felt a steady, stable energy that carried him all the way to lunch. He was more mentally clear in the mornings, and as an unexpected bonus, his chronic indigestion began to improve. The heavy, high-fat breakfast was forcing his digestive system to work overtime first thing in the morning, diverting a huge amount of blood and energy away from his brain. The light, nutrient-dense Hunza-style breakfast provided slow-release fuel without the energy-sapping digestive burden. A handful of these dried apricots contains more potassium than a large banana, a nutrient essential for regulating nerve signals and fluid balance. Number 2. The daily purpose walk. The next part of a Hunza elder's morning is not about leisure. They engage in what researchers call purposeful movement. They are not going to a gym. They are walking to tend to their terraced gardens, check on a neighbor's animals, or carry water from a stream. Every morning involves a task that needs doing, a reason to get out of bed and move their bodies with intention. A landmark longitudinal study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, followed thousands of retirees over 15 years. They made a stunning discovery. Individuals who reported having a strong sense of purpose in their daily lives had a significantly lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease, heart attacks, and strokes, and they lived, on average, 7 years longer than those who felt their lives lacked purpose. Having a reason to get up in the morning, a small but meaningful contribution to make, is a powerful psychological and biological driver of health. It provides structure to the day and a sense of being needed and valued, which combats the depression and apathy that can so often accompany retirement. This isn't about having a job, it's about having a why. Think of Margaret, a 77-year-old retired nurse from Pennsylvania. When she retired and her children were grown and gone, she felt her world shrink. Her days, especially her mornings, felt empty and unstructured. She would often stay in her pajamas until noon, watching television, feeling a growing sense of irrelevance. Her neighbor, a young mother with a new baby, was struggling to keep up with her garden. One day, Margaret, who had always had a green thumb, hesitantly offered to help weed the tomato patch. That small offer turned into her morning purpose. Every day at 9 a.m., after her stretches and her light breakfast, Margaret would walk next door and spend an hour in the garden. She wasn't just pulling weeds, she was nurturing life. She was helping a young family. She had a reason to get dressed, a reason to be outside, and a reason to feel proud. This simple, purposeful task transformed her. She had more energy, her mood brightened, and the sense of aimlessness that had plagued her mornings was replaced by the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. She had found her why. Think of purpose like having a destination when you start a journey, instead of just wandering aimlessly. It gives every step meaning. And now, for the most important morning ritual of all, the one that ties everything together. Number 1, the morning greeting. The final and perhaps most critical piece of the Hunza morning puzzle is social connection. As they go about their purposeful morning walks, they actively greet every person they see. This is not a quick nod, it is a genuine eye-to-eye exchange, a moment of recognition and community. They share a few words, inquire about family, and reaffirm their social bonds before continuing on their way. A massive 30-year study from the University of Copenhagen, one of the most extensive ever conducted on longevity, concluded that social integration was a more powerful predictor of a long and healthy life than cholesterol levels, blood pressure, or even genetics. Feeling connected and part of a community is not a nice-to-have, it is a biological necessity. When we experience positive social interaction, our brains release a hormone called oxytocin. This powerful hormone counteracts the stress hormone cortisol, lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and promotes feelings of trust and well-being. Chronic loneliness, on the other hand, has been shown to be as damaging to our health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Let's look at Samuel, an 85-year-old living alone in a suburban neighborhood. His children lived in another state, and most of his old friends had either passed away or moved into care facilities. His mornings were silent and profoundly lonely. He could go an entire day without speaking a single word to another human being. He decided to try something radical. After feeling inspired by this very principle, he knew his mail was delivered around 10 a.m. every morning. So, he made it his mission to be outside on his porch at 9:55 a.m. every single day, no matter what. The first few days he just waved to his mail carrier, a young woman named Chloe. She waved back. After a week he said, "Good morning?" She smiled and said it back. The next week he asked her how her day was going. She stopped for 30 seconds and told him about her son's soccer game. That tiny 30-second interaction became the anchor of Samuel's morning. It was a small but real human connection. It made him feel seen. He started doing the same with the woman who walked her dog past his house every morning. Soon, his morning greeting ritual grew to include 3 or 4 brief but genuine conversations. This simple habit broke the spell of his isolation. It didn't replace his family or old friends, but it gave him daily touch points of community. Think of it as vitamin S for social. It is just as essential for your long-term well-being as vitamin C is for your immune system. So, there you have it. The 7 morning rituals of the world's longest living people. It starts with sunrise hydration to reawaken your cells. Then the gentle awakening stretch to prepare your body for the day. Followed by the gratitude gaze to set a positive mental tone. Then the morning sun soak to reset your internal clock. A light, nutrient-dense apricot kernel power-up for breakfast. The daily purpose, walk to give your day meaning. And finally, the morning greeting to reaffirm your vital human connection. The key takeaway is that a long and healthy life is not built on grand, difficult gestures. It is built on the foundation of small, simple, and consistent morning habits that, when practiced together, create profound and lasting results. Now, I have a question for you. Based on everything we've talked about today, what is the one small morning habit you are going to try starting tomorrow? Please share your answer in the comments below. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe to our channel for more videos designed to help you live a longer, healthier, and happier life.